Make sure you grab different color spray paints, different size thread edges, and everyday household items like cups or lids. My name is Arturo Lopez, and I created Spraycasso Studios back in 1999. I have then continued to show people diverse ways of creating master paintings in just a few minutes using nothing more than just spray paints and everyday household items. The beauty of this art is that you don't have to have a steady hand or know how to draw. All it requires is a little bit of imagination and some dedication. So join us, and you too can become a Spraycasso master. I will walk you through diverse techniques of creating beginner level paintings, intermediate level paintings and techniques, advanced level paintings, and we'll take your skills even further to master level paintings. So if you guys are ready to embark into a new art adventure, then grab your spray paints and materials. Let's get started. Alright guys, hope you guys are ready for this next tutorial. In the last one, we solved the mysteries of the universe. Yes, we created 3 planets, a sunburst, sunlight, some shooting stars here on the top, and I think that was it, right? We learned to use the little handy dandy Spraycasso tool. And for this next one of the common denominators on this next painting is that, like the first one, right, we use stencils. I know you're saying, no, that's a cup. Well, yes, but you know, they were our stencils for creating the planets, right? So for the next one, we're going to do something like this. Now, you guys are going to ask me, what is that? It's a lighthouse. What you do is get you some cardstock and print out a lighthouse. There used to be, you know, nice little scenery in the background, whatever. Get an X-Acto knife, cut out the lighthouse. Yes? So you have something like this. Keep both pieces of it. Now you have the shape of a lighthouse. So, well, you know, what good is that? Well, let me show you. Let's create a lighthouse. Easy, right? So we're going to use a little bit of black. Right? That's the bottom part of it. We're gonna use, I think I've seen some lighthouses that have like red streaks going across it. So let's do some red streaks. Now, you notice my stencil moved. It's okay, you can put tape on there, or some heavy little items help your stencil not move. What I used to use, and I still do it once in a while, I just don't know what I did with it, is I had a metal sheet plate in the background, and I used to use magnets. So whenever I used the stencil, I would throw down my magnets on top of this plate, on top of the stencil plate, and it would hold it from moving. So if you guys are going to spray paint live, or you guys are going to do this at home, get you a nice little sheet metal. Just go out to a metal shop, buy you a little sheet, put it in the bag, buy you some magnets, and it helps a lot when working with stencils. So you can put down a stencil, throw some magnets around it, you don't have to worry about it moving. And another thing, you don't have to worry about peeling off the tape from your poster board and peel anything off that's important. So something to consider. 2 ways of doing this, guys. You can do the Spraycasso way, which is a lazy man's way, right? And I just do this. Or you can do the proper way, the not so lazy way. Right? You just get you some thread edge, maybe some tape. Look at that. Create you a nice little straight line. I know, but when you're spray painting live, people really like to see you kick these paintings out really quickly, so sometimes you don't have time to get the tape and tape the area off, so you can just use a thread edge and do something like this. Now let's say you want to add a little bit of red down here. You still can. Everything is correctable in spray paint. Look at that. Put down this little handy dandy straight edge, repaint that part black, voila. Alright, so here's another little thing I'm going to do. Well, let's paint that area right there. Yeah? How's that? Alright, now this is very important, guys. We're going to create the effect that this is 3D. So we're going to put our straight edge here, bounce some of that black off of it, and create the effect of a shadow. And I want to do that a few times. See that? Pretty cool, huh? Telling you, you can do anything with spray paint. Alright, so let's remove this. Look, you've created a lighthouse. Very simple, very basic, and yet it will add a lot of dimension to your painting. A lot of contrast, a lot of realism to it. Alright guys, well I wish I could give you a steady time and say, wait 5 minutes and then come back and, you know, put your stencil on top of it. I can't do that. I was in Seattle a while back, and I noticed that in Seattle the paintings stay moist a lot longer. I mean, like 10-20 minutes longer. So make sure you touch, and if it's dry to the touch, then you can put the second part of the stencil on it. Right? Otherwise, you remove this, and it removes all the hard work that you put underneath it. So you don't want to do that, right? So just, you know, go do something, come back, and if it's dry, you know, great. Move on. If you're spray painting live, because believe it or not, guys, if you guys are not in that level yet, you will be. You work on the stencil, you put this painting on side, and you start on another one. When you finish the other one, you come back to this one, continue working on this one. Alright, so we're going to do a few things here that are different. We're going to do a technique that requires brown, right? Or, I like to mix my own colors, so I'm going to use a little bit of orange in the background, right? Perhaps, yeah, I'm just going to do a little bit of orange there. And black. Very light layer of black. Okay, what does that do? We just made brown. Alright, so remember that technique that we used earlier on some of those planets to create that rocky terrain on the first planet? Same principle. We're going to spray paint this white. You're probably asking yourself, where'd the terrain go, Spray? Still there. It's camouflaged. Alright, let's we went ahead and just covered it white, and I'll show you why. Now let's work on the sky. Very basic. We're just going to create a sky. Now see, the less blue you use, the more cloudy it looks. You want to create clouds? Just cover some of this area, and look, you've created a cloud right there. Alright, let's say, we'll just leave that like that. Look at that. Alright, it doesn't matter if you get some of the blue on top of this color. What you do is, we're going to create a terrain here in the background, but you want to be able to spray paint some blue on top of it so that when you remove it, it looks like the mountain is on top of the sky layer. So tear off a piece of magazine, make a little cone out of it. See that? Like that. And then just kind of smear it down. Okay. This is the best and easiest way to create beginner level terrain. Now you're going to want to get around those edges of your lighthouse. Huh? Look at that. So can you make other beginner level spray paintings rather than just space sceneries? Yes, you definitely can. This is a good example of it. It takes a little bit longer, especially if you're going to use a stencil, right? Because you have to wait for the stencil to dry. But look at the depth that we've created so far. We have clouds. We didn't even have to use any white. We have a lighthouse. We have a terrain behind the lighthouse. And I'm going to show you the best way to create water. And the most realistic too. This is again one of those techniques that what I've come to call the sprayer haters out there. They didn't believe me that it was all spray paint, but you guys are probably gonna have to be called the same thing, right? If people are not gonna believe that this is done with spray paint. And what you're gonna want to do, I'm just gonna create my straight edge here and use white, just a thin layer of white, or you know what? You can do blue. It doesn't matter. Whichever one of these two colors you use. Put some blue down. Cover that with white too. This is what I call my wet on wet technique. And this technique, I'm going to use it throughout a lot of my paintings. So it's a technique that I created back when I first started this. And it's the technique that I used to create this terrain in the background. But take a look at what it does for water. What we're going to do is we're going to tear off a piece of magazine, create a little U with it. Again, you've seen me use this on the first tutorial, one of the planets, the liquefy technique. We're going to liquefy this water. As funny as it sounds, but take a look at the realism that you can create. You can create waves. You can create ripples in the water. Huh? Look at that. All right. Now that is pretty cool, right? Because you got all these waves going through it. If you want to make it darker, create the effect of a darker ocean, this is what you can do. You add a little bit of blue on top of it. Just thin layer of it. Look, you've darkened the waves. This is called the water tinting technique. To add foam, if you want to add foam to this sea foam, to this ocean, what you do is you get one of your flexible straight edges, and that's just something thick, not quite paper, but maybe thicker than paper. This is plastic. All right, you get a little bit of white, something like that. Tear off a piece of magazine. Right? See that ragged edge? What you're going to want to do, put that ragged edge, look at that, on your white. You can come in, take a look at some of these waves, and just kind of follow the wave pattern that you got going on already. So maybe just tap it. Right? I know it's a little bit more complicated, guys, but I think you guys can do it. All the confidence in the world in you guys. A little bit of wave, maybe down here as well, and here, and you can always mirror that down, create some more realistic looking waves there. Not bad for a beginner, huh? Very easy. You guys should have no problem being able to do this. Amaze your friends. How fast you're able to create an ocean, a realistic looking ocean nonetheless, within just a few minutes of your time. Now I am going to show you other techniques. I don't want to show you. This is one of the most, a little bit more advanced water technique. The most realistic one for sure. But there is other water techniques, and we're going to go back into those. Alright, so what you can do here is I like to create the illusion of maybe some fog in the background. The way you do that, a little bit of white. And you guys remember this technique, right? That's right, that's the comet technique. Put that down. A few sprays, you get yourself some light. You can even go back to something like that. Let's take a look at what you've painted. And voila! You've just created another Picasso masterpiece in just a few minutes. Remember, one of the most important things in your painting is your name. Tells the user who created this masterpiece. It's Picasso 2010. Alright. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. Hope you guys practice it. Let's take a look at it. What you've created. Look at that water. Pretty neat. Alright guys. Hope you guys are ready for the next tutorial. Grab your spray paints. You say we get started.